Some weeks on, and I think it's fair to say that we're all still basking in a halo of green and gold. But here's the question. How much impact did the Springboks World Cup win really have on social cohesion and unity in South Africa? There's been much debate about this. Now, the Human Sciences Research Council has conducted a survey to determine this exact factor. Let's discuss this as I take you live now to Cape Town. The HSRC's Sahir Parker joins us from the mother city. Sahir, good morning to you, and thanks for popping in today. Whichever way you look at it, we can unpack some of the controversy in just a moment. This was good, though, for our national psyche, for our national mood, wasn't it?
It was. Thank you, Jeremy, and good morning to you. The weekend that the South African Springbok team won the Rugby World Cup was a moment of extreme jubilation for every person that calls this country home. I think if you just looked at the sentiment expressed on Twitter, on Facebook, on all sorts of social media, and not only there, but in the streets of every major city in this country, the mood, the elation that we felt we've not seen since 1995.
You also make the point, Sahir, in the survey that 99% of, let's call it 7,000 respondents, said they were aware of the achievement of the Springboks. Extrapolate that to the national population. This had a resounding impact on just about everyone. And interestingly, we're not necessarily a first nation when it comes to rugby. We're a football country.
That's very true. I mean, rugby has traditionally not been a sport that has attracted every demographic in South Africa. What the campaign that the Springboks ran under the banner Stronger Together has achieved is to really galvanize every segment of the population. Our data indicates, and you're perfectly correct in saying we got information from more than 7,000 people through the very popular Buy New cell phone-based messaging service. And what this told us is that even people that are not South African citizens, foreign nationals, got behind the Springboks in an unprecedented manner in ways that we haven't seen in this country in quite some years. And you know, it's been a very challenging year in this country, socially, economically, and even politically. And to have something ahead of the festive season that unites South Africans behind the green and gold has really been a significant triumph to increase the levels of positivity, not only in light of the significant issues of racism and xenophobia that we've seen, but also in terms of galvanizing all segments of our society in a way that we can use this positivity to propel our country forward as we enter the new year.
And I wonder why that is important. You can flesh that out a little bit, because leading on from that, a further 88% of respondents, you say, claim that the sport adds to, and I quote, their sense of belonging to South Africa. And that is something that in recent years, given all the issues that we've experienced, we've perhaps lost.
I think in certain respects the sparkle and the magic that we've experienced in this country has eroded as we've seen so much political turmoil in this country. We've seen just on the streets of Cape Town a number of weeks ago with a large segment of our foreign residents in this city expressing extreme dismay at the way that they've been treated. And whatever avenues and whatever tools we can use to harness a sense of positivity, to harness a sense of belonging, I think we should appeal to our leaders to use those tools at their disposal to try and galvanize the population. If 88% of the respondents, and a large segment of that being foreign nationals, agree that sport can address issues of racism, that sport can address issues of xenophobia, and can really unite this country in a particular way, I think we should direct that. Particularly when it comes to younger people, I think sports as a central cultural tool for developing young people has an opportunity to expose children to diverse groups of cultures, to diverse authority figures, not only in terms of race, but also in terms of gender, and identifies the importance of creating stronger social relationships and bonds, and really to test the social networks that we ingrain into children. And what that does, not only for children and younger adults, but also for every adult member of the population, and in particular for parents, it allows us to test these mental schemas that we've developed in this country, to broaden our horizons and really to open up the playing fields, as it were, so that we use those assets towards building a much stronger nation as we enter not only a new year, but a new decade in this country.
There would be few people that would disagree with you, and you're a researcher. I'm not asking you for the silver bullet here, but I would suggest that if 88% of respondents say that sport adds to their sense of belonging, as I've mentioned, 85% of you said, I think the sport can help us deal with xenophobia and racism. I would put to you that we have a very narrow window in this respect. September 20 was when it all happened. We're now towards the end of November. Unless we take that sentiment and actually do something with it, this is going to be a lost opportunity. So, where's the starting point?
Jeremy, I think that we stand on the brink of an incredible opportunity. You've just mentioned in your bulletin the amazing success of the Amagluglu team, the South African hockey team, the ladies cricket team, and I'd wager money that they would give our boys in green a run for their money. I think we've got an incredible opportunity not only in sport, but in a number of other aspects. The Department of Science and Innovation is hosting the Science Forum in the coming weeks, where we see a tremendous push in the educational sector. I think as we begin the new year at our universities, we've got an opportunity there to harness some of the incredible talent that we've got in our educational sector as well. The win at the World Cup in terms of rugby represents one avenue for sport. I think arts represents another opportunity. I think we've got an incredible array of musicians and artists in this country, and where we can use these cultural tools to prop up the population to ensure that the sense of positivity drives forward and increases our ability to compete globally and continentally, economically, as well as socially. We should use every tool at our disposal to do that. And that is an incredible challenge, and I therefore appeal to our leaders, to our politicians, to our religious and community leaders to use this as a tool and as a significant soapbox on which to stand and galvanize peoples within their micro-societies so that we can carry this message forward and really make this country the great place that it can be.
So here, just two other things I want to touch on very quickly. One is the potential that the Rugby World Cup has on rugby itself in South Africa. 39% of respondents only regularly watch rugby matches. As I said a little earlier, we're not necessarily a nation of rugby watching fanatics. SA Rugby can do something surely with that statistic. The other thing, there's only one name when it comes to naming their favourite player that really stands head and shoulders above everybody else, and that's obviously the captain, Siya Kolisi. Let's deal with that first of all. Was there anybody else that the public liked apart from the skipper?
Look, there were a number of names that were mentioned. You know, Colby was one of them. But if you really look at it, you know, the captain obviously attracted a significant amount of attention. 49% of our respondents named him as the favourite player of the World Cup. But there were also a significant proportion of the sample that were not regular rugby supporters. And some of the names that were mentioned reflected the focus that was attracted from the public in terms of transformation within the team. And Siya Kolisi really represents not only the captain of the South African rugby team, but a significant light to a number of young sports people in this country, and a inspiration to many people whose hopes and dreams are invested not only in the sport of rugby, but in the promise that sport can deliver, as we've seen at many points in the history of our country.
I thank you for popping in today into our Cape Town studio, the HSRC, the Human Science Research Council's Sahir Parker. Thank